Welcome to UVTV, motherfucker. I'm here to kick spiritual ass and do this for my people. On God. Nia, nigga, for feather me in. Today I'm going to be talking about how to identify gaslighting, right? And before I even get into the gaslighting part, I'm doing the whole breakdown of all these things, right? When it comes to gaslighting, right, you have to understand that it's a psychological and a manipulation tactic for the most part. So if it has something to do with psychological use and stuff like that, that's like using some type of method or methodology or some type of rationality or practical way, point A to B to C, to get to the dough. You know what I'm saying? To get to those different points and stuff like that, to try to figure out some type of methodology behind some type of psychological uh, usage and patterns and practices and stuff like that. So based upon it being a pattern or a methodology or a practice having to do with something dealing with like the psyche and stuff like that, right? It has something to do with the mind. So have some type of thought, idea, feeling, emotion to basically utilize as a tool to take advantage as somebody else. And that's in a nutshell with having some type of alternative motive or manipulation tactic or doing something behind closed doors that's not really seen or doing something to put someone under a illusion or a delusion so you can end up taking advantage of it in so much shape and form. And just talking about the broad overall parameter of how to see it from an overall perspective, so when you actually see it get condensed, even before then, before it even gets condensed into the flesh, into the physical, into the body, in the external tools and technology that get made from the flesh. You know what I'm saying? And people use different technology and tools to try to manipulate certain things or come off in a certain way, all the way down to texting or social media and stuff like that, and motherfuckers who be trolls and shit like that. Because only a motherfucker who a troll, they like to control different situations and stuff like that so it can go in their way, so they can have power control in the situation. They just do it in a real lesser form, a real degenerate form, instead of generating some new ways of how to go about it. So it's like a motherfucker who end up having a joke, and then they keep on using the same tactic. You keep utilizing the same joke, and after you telling the same goddamn joke a million times and stuff like that, it's not gonna get funny no more. Come on with some new jokes, motherfuckers. If your ass want to be a fucking comedian and shit like that, you need to be real creative, real versatile with your jokes and shit like that. If you want to keep motherfuckers coming up in the block in the venue, like yeah. Now, how to identify gaslighting? Now, the word gaslighting. All right. So, gaslighting was a gas. A gas is a type of air that has neither a shape nor volume, but tends to expand indefinitely and stuff like that. So, because this is the only motherfucker I ever heard say this shit, and it's like it makes so much sense, right? You know what I'm saying? Shout out Dola, shout out Flight Boss and stuff like that. But like, yeah, boom, gas, liquid, solid, spirit, mind, body, birth, life, and death. We're born to this existence to live our lives and stuff like that and create our own lifestyles based upon our subjective point of view of what we want to have a part of our life and stuff like that. And that's based upon some type of mentality, aka thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions that we resonate with, and the space that we be in as spirits, our individual space is our soul, and then the spirituality that come from that is the overall individuality, the overall productivity, the overall creativity and stuff like that. And that's accumulated based upon what all of us are doing as humans and stuff like that. But for us to have that comprehension and that attention span that humans have, we had to expand out of a mind and into a new one and stuff like that. So that's expanding and contracting, expanding out of certain experiences and then condensing into a new one, expanding out of a mind and then condensing into a new one. If it starts to condense, it's gonna get cut, it's gonna get like crushed in, it's gonna be put into a container and stuff like that. And then our first body is our mind, and that's the first lightest shaping form of a container. And then the physical fleshly blood, you know what I'm saying, and organs and stuff like that is our second body, our second container that comes after the mind. But just based upon of how we be looking at things in reverse, we be thinking, oh, if we live it up in the, like, based upon luxury and leisure, if we live it up in the flesh, that means we're doing something when it's really the opposite. No, you need to expand the parameter, the space that you in, your spirit. You have to do things that speak to your spirit first. And your spirit is just your soul. Your soul is just your subjective point of view when it comes to your awareness and your comprehension and your individuality, and you creating and cultivating for yourself, so you won't have to utilize a whole bunch of things out here based upon different gods and deities, and getting lost into idol worship, and make these things work for you, but not doing it for self-serving purposes. You doing it to help serve others, so they can, so you can show them they have the capability of also doing that. So from you being a walking emanation of what that shit is, that's you actually walking with God. God is just all possibilities. You being really spiritual and stuff like that is just you being with all of existence, all the different parameters, all the different worlds, all the different spaces you could put yourself in, and then your subjective point of view is just your soul. So how big can you make the space that you're in, your soul, your creativity, your abilities, your talents, your gifts, and shit like that? And then you condense that into a mind state and a mentality and stuff like that, aka a thought, idea, feeling, emotion, and that deals with your psyche and metaphysics, mind physics. Are you able to go through the different transitions and go through putting yourself through these different observations and different experiences and stuff like that, and able to actually have some type of mental resilience so you can go from point A to B to C to actually accomplish your dreams and aspiration and your goals and whatnot? And then that ends up going into the physical, the flesh, aka something that actually got materialized from you manifesting, because there's a difference. It's a process. It's manifesting, then materializing. You manifesting is you manifesting men and women, masculine and feminine. Masculine will be a thought and idea, and then the feminine would be it transitioning into emotion and feeling. External, internal, light, darkness. Building something and then being supporting what's being built. The father, the mother. You get what I'm saying? The father's light, the father's direction and stuff like that, going the distance, and then you nurturing and caring for that seed of what you're trying to go for the distance for. So you have the gas, the emotion and feeling. The gas, the emotion and feeling, that's gassing up what you're doing for the most part. So that goes back into the original starting point on God. Like, yeah, I did that. I did that real good, real seamless. But yeah, gas is you know what I'm saying? I guess it's a type of fluids, you know what I'm saying? Just like air that neither has a shape nor volume, but tends to expand indefinitely. So from you being gassed up, from you having a lot of passion and motivation behind something, right? It's about how much feeling and emotion you're gassing up that thought and idea of whatever vision that you actually want to play out into the physical and stuff like that. And the more you're able to go the distance with that, and the more you put more attention to it, and the more you put more time into that, you end up gaining attention, gaining traction for what you're doing. And then people are going to be attracted to what the fuck you doing based upon your own subjective point of view and outlook and viewpoint. And you put yourself in a space where other people are doing the same thing that you're doing, and it is going to add on, it's going to keep on blowing up. Expansion, contraction. And you're going to gain more knowledge and wisdom and know how to apply it better. And it's just going to give you more of know-how and a capability of how to go about that thing for the most part. So based upon us collectively all doing this, of us all being motivated, and all of us having a passion, all of us being gassed up and stuff like that, that's what makes existence what it is in all possibilities. And it is going to get turn into a glorified body, or like a light body, or get condensed into some type of thought, idea, feeling, emotion that could get played out into a mentality that actually makes sense and the subconscious realm, and it gets filtered into the conscious realm, the physical, that, like, you know what I'm saying, like something we can see from the naked eye, something that actually is fleshly, something that actually is grounded, something that actually is materialized and stuff like that, right? So when it comes to gaslighting, it's that being lit first. So the same way when it comes to gasoline, and you start dousing fire into the gas and stuff like that, and it's gonna blow the fuck up, and things of that nature, right? It's someone gassing up your spirit, but they're lighting it up. They're giving it spark. They're giving it fire. They're giving it vision. They're giving it thought forms. You know what I'm saying? They're giving it a feeling. They're giving it emotion. They're giving it a certain way of seeing. So the same way when it comes to astrology, when it comes to fire signs and stuff like that, that's why they have a lot of expression. That's why they have a lot of energy and stuff like that. That's why they have a lot of intuition. That's why they have a lot of different visions of how they see things, but they don't want to get locked into a certain shape or form of how they want to be seen and stuff like that. And it's always going to be based upon a cardinal, fixated, and mutable perspective. The Aries version, or the cardinal version, is initiating, creating new ways to see and feel. So that's Aries. And then the fixated version is Leo, being fixated of his own way of seeing and feeling. And then mutable is Sagittarius. So being mutable, adaptable, and changeable, and flexible to your own and other people's ways with seeing and feeling. And it's always going to be based upon them burning through reality, them going based upon intuition and stuff like that, them going based upon some type of vision, but their first mind, the first instinct, the first vision that they have of how they see things, and it's always going to burn through the reality before it gets condensed into the physical shape and form. So that's why they'll do a lot of different things that look like it don't make sense when it comes to the physical world, and it look non-realistic, but they're still on that train of thought of trying to do. My shit cut out. But that's why they end up being down that line of reasoning in that vibration of trying to, like, you know what I'm saying? They're doing it on a lighter, different scale for the most part, even though all the different elements are required. But the lightest scale of what that would be how fire signs act. Like, the lightest scale is the fire. Oh, the initial spark, the initial vision, the initial, you know what I'm saying? Starting point of what made them want to do that motivation in the first place, right? So vision just means enlightenment and information slash knowledge, right? And then yeah, there's three different ways of how you can see light, because that explains the gas part, right? And then I'm gonna explain the shit being lit. So I explained the first part of it being lit. Now there's three different ways of how you can look at light. Light can relate to vision, which relates to enlightenment, aka information and knowledge. That's why in the Bible and stuff like that, when they talk in allegories, they be sitting there talking like, oh, let there be light and stuff like that. They're talking about enlightenment. They're talking about a viewpoint. They're talking about knowledge. They're talking about information. They're talking about a vision of how someone sees something, right? And then it can turn into physical light, like light spectrums and light bending and clouds condensing into rainbows and stuff like that, like fire or something that's being lit, aka brightened up, like the same way I have this fucking light right here and stuff like that, and it's shining on me right now and stuff like that, like the physical light. And then light as in weight, so aka, so like from it being light as in weight, that means it's super light, so it's not super heavy all the way down to something that's physical and stuff like that. If it's super light, that means it's lightweight. It's not, it's something, oh, I can pick this bitch up. If I pick up a dumbbell and that shit 50 fucking pounds, it's gonna be heavy as fuck for my ass to pick up and stuff like that. And then if I get a 10 dumbbell weight and stuff like that, it's gonna be lightweight. It's something that's real easy. I can I get the reps in and all that type of shit, right? Or you could take it as taking things lightly, not heavy. So from them taking things really lightly, they're taking things very surface level. It's not that deep to them. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to go in depth about that thing. And then if they were to have a real heavy-handed type of conversation and stuff like that, they take it lightly. It didn't affect the space that they in. It didn't really like affect whatever emotion and feeling they was in and stuff like that. They didn't get personally vulnerable or personally offended and things of that nature, right? They took it real lightly. So those are the different ways of how you can look at light just in general. So based upon gaslighting, right, and those things being emitted, those things being lit, is being doused on to something. You're dousing onto that gas, right? And then you lit that shit on fire to it being a certain vision or a certain enlightenment or a certain information or a certain knowledge, or you know what I'm saying? You're trying to light this shit up. You're trying to, you know what I'm saying? You making the compounds, you're making the compounds real explosive and stuff like that, right? So from you making the compounds explosive, they're trying to gas your ass up. You know what I'm saying? But gas your ass up in a negative type of way and stuff like that. They're trying to take advantage of the thing that they're trying to make you be super explosive about. But from you being too explosive and you letting things of the external world gaslight you, you know what I'm saying? So they're taking the space that you're in, right, from your own observations and your own experiences and your own subjective point of view and stuff like that, and they're trying to gas that shit up to make it be more explosive. They're trying to make it more inflated. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to get you amped. They're trying to get you real, you know what I'm saying? Like high humidity, high temperament and stuff like that. So in a sense, right, it's something that's going to make you triggered. Now, just in general, people be gaslighting themselves, but it's like people be gaslighting themselves, but it's like a thing to where they don't be realizing they be gaslighting themselves and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that you do to yourself that makes you act real amped up. It's going to make you real fired up. It's going to make you real explosive. It's going to make you real volatile and stuff like that. But you know you did that thing to yourself. Like, you made yourself act real volatile. You made yourself act real impulsive. Yeah, that's the word. Like, you made yourself act mad impulsive. You made yourself trigger because you know that thing triggers you, but you don't know how to deal with that emotion and feeling, aka you just gaslit yourself. It's like you did some type of mind manipulation to psychologically do something that fuck with you, especially motherfuckers who be like real low vibrational, who don't be liking themselves and stuff like that, or they don't know how to deal with their problems and do things in moderation, and they look at things like a mental crush and stuff like that. They end up being triggered and gaslighting themselves, and since motherfuckers don't be seeing the world how they be seeing things, they be self-projecting how they don't know how to deal with their internal energies for the most part, aka deal with their mind state or deal with their the space they in. And considering we all spirits in the body, we always want to be fulfilled. We always want to turn something into a shape and form. You start looking at things like different mental crushes that actually be really unhealthy for you, and you end up getting triggered and getting you know what I'm saying? You end up gaslighting yourself and stuff like that. So that's like a person who internalize everything too much. That's like a motherfucker who end up taking things too personally because they feel like they can't personally have power control over certain things outside of them. So they be dealing with their internal energies in the same way. They be lost into their own darkness, and they can't find a way to you know what I'm saying, brighten something up or lighten something up or take things more lightly and stuff like that, or not take things as in depth or take things more personally and take things more heavy and stuff like that, and be not so, you know what I'm saying, like not do things in the sense of like self-criticism when it comes to taking things really harshly. Like they be harshly doing that to themselves type shit. Like they take things real hard, and from it being hard and stuff like that, it's gonna be heavy in weight because it's gonna be like, you know what I'm saying, it's not something that's light, nigga. It's gonna be something that's hard. So it's gonna hit you hard in the face and stuff like that. You punching yourself hard as fuck in the face, and you gonna be like, ow, nigga, damn. Or like, you know what I'm saying? It's like some shit like that. Like, so just in general, is it a motherfuckers be gaslighting like themselves? And that's how you can identify it. And then I'm also break down how to identify when people outside of you be gaslighting you and stuff like that. It can add on to what the fuck I just said, right? But this is just identifying gaslighting just in general, because you can gaslight yourself, and a lot of people, when it comes to self-deprecating and stuff like that, or who at real low vibrational, they be doing that to themselves. So taking things mad personally and getting things, get real triggered at their own bad behavior because they don't know how to cope with their their validation issues or their self-esteem or the things that they lack and stuff like that. So they end up putting out a lot of esteem for their negative qualities instead of their positive qualities, instead of doing things in moderation to make it so they can have more like, you know what I'm saying, like a healthy practitioner or a way better productive type of thing, creative type of thing, so they don't be looking at things like a mental crutch. And the minute they don't have that mental crutch no more, they end up not they have better coping mechanisms, so they don't end up acting real chaotic and all over the place and stuff like that. But also at the same time, people be gaslighting themselves when it comes to their own passion and motivation. So a motherfucker who get real passionate or real motivated or real fired up for their next emanation, their next idea, their next expansion and stuff like that, their next enlightenment. They're trying to expand further. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to get more experience, and then they may even go into what they're doing in the physical and stuff like that. Oh, they probably traveling a lot. Oh, they meeting a whole bunch of different people a lot and stuff like that. Oh, they was able to buy more properties and get more land and stuff like that. Or they able to cultivate their abilities better with whatever they're good at, and things of that nature by how much attention, how many hours they put into that thing for the most part. So there's good ways of how you could go about it. That's more like a more positive way of how to put it. You know what I'm saying? You can gaslight yourself into something that's more productive, something that's more creative, something that expands the space that you in. You know what I'm saying? Something that actually helps you as a person. Something that actually helps your individuality, something that actually helps some type of talent or gift or ability that you're able to do so you can get better at it. That's one way to gaslight yourself. So from you gaslighting yourself, you're able to go the distance with it, and that thing in the car, that emotion and feeling and that nurturing for whatever thing you're trying to build for yourself based upon that vision or that thought and idea and that spark, you're going to be having a lot of gas in your car so that car got a lot of fucking mileage on it. You know what I'm saying? you got to be looking at like your spirit, like a spaceship and shit like that. So it's like a spaceship with like a whole bunch of different gadgets, or like a car with like a whole bunch of different gadgets and stuff like that. A car that's real up to date and stuff like that, like some electric car or like some Tesla shit. You know what I'm saying? It got a whole bunch of different gadgets and stuff like that. It has a long ass Honda Accord, Toyota mileage and stuff like that. You can you know what I'm saying, run that car out for like 10 goddamn years and shit like that. That shit is gonna take forever to break down. It rarely even have issues and stuff like that. It's always kept up when it comes to the maintenance and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's shit like that. You have to look at it. I'm trying to make it more spiritual for the most part. So based upon the metaphors and the allegories, it make more sense based upon like what the fuck I'm talking about. But you have to look at yourself like that. You know what I'm saying? You have to look at like the space you in overall like that, like your creative talents and abilities like that. But just in general, right? Psychological manipulation is utilizing mind games for self-serving purposes. So that's what gaslighting is, just in general, the negative version, right? So based upon that psychological manipulation and stuff like that, it has something to do with the psyche. So some type of thought, idea, feeling, emotion, and and then someone utilizing mind games for self-serving purposes. So from it being a self-serving purpose and it's something outside yourself, right, is going to be a thing to where they're trying to take advantage of you, or using some type of alternative motive, or doing something behind closed door that you're not aware of, and it's going to be something that's going to be over a extended period of time to make you question the validity of your own thoughts, ideas, feelings, and emotions, and your perception, or you know what I'm saying, like the pocket of time on the memory of what the original starting point of what the thing was. So they always have to keep up that lie. They always have to keep up that manipulation tactic. They always have to keep up that idea that they made up to gaslight you in the first place, right? So they're gonna make up a whole bunch of different lies and stuff like that. They're gonna make up a whole bunch of different pockets of time, aka memory. They're gonna make up, you know what I'm saying? They gonna end up like rewriting the whole history of what actually happened and shit like that. And it's gonna make you all confused, and it's gonna make you less confident of what actually transpired, or what the tactic they actually utilized in the first place, because they're able to cover up with another story and shit like that, aka another illusion. And it's gonna start making you feel uncertain. It's gonna start fucking with your self-esteem, or it's gonna make you depend on that person like a fucking mental crutch, or yeah, like it's kind of like it's kind of like they put you in a predicament where you have to depend on them as a mental crutch to hold up the perception or the reality that they're trying to build. But the only thing they're building is to put you under an illusion so they can take advantage of your capabilities and your talents and the space that you're in, and the knowledge and wisdom that you got, so they can use that for themselves and drain you from all your energy like an energy vampire and stuff like that, and then leave your ass to die, or leave your ass with a real broke down ass car or some shit like that, like with the analogy I was saying earlier. So for the most part, it's like what I was saying earlier about how you can end up gaslighting yourself and stuff like that, and that's how you can identify it. This is just me breaking down, when someone gaslight you and it's something that's outside of you for the most part. So motherfuckers be getting gaslit by their circumstance, their physical circumstance, their physical environment and surrounding and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers can get gaslit by who they associate with. Motherfuckers can get gaslit with their friends and family and stuff like that. Motherfuckers can get gaslit from goddamn their business partners and stuff like that. A lot of motherfuckers be gaslit when it comes to their relationships and shit like that. A lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, that be happening to people a lot when it comes to their relationships, especially their close relationships, and like family and things of that nature. So just in general, in a short nutshell, right? When it comes to identifying gaslighting and stuff like that, look at that as space lighting, or creative lighting and stuff like that, or productive lighting for the most part. So it's someone lighting up the space that you're in. Now, from them lighting up the space that you in, they're lighting it up, they're brightening it up, they're making it lighter in weight. You know what I'm saying? So they're adding fire to it, they're adding vision to it, they're adding enlightenment to it, they're adding information to it, they're adding knowledge to it. Now, based upon the information and the knowledge they're giving you, it's always gonna be predicated, at least the way y'all be using the word gaslight and stuff like that, it be external things. So you can get gaslit by the flesh. You can get gaslit by the external things in the world that are outside of you and stuff like that. So you end up using that thing that's gaslighting you to make you gassed up, to make you motivated to make you have the adrenaline to make you actually want to go for the things that you want to go for the passion and motivation and stuff like that. But you could be put under a certain perception or under a certain reality or in a certain pocket of time of, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever the monetary gain you're trying to get out of it for the most part. But a lot of these different psychological manipulation tactics are things based upon the mind. I thought I did feel an emotion, but it's something that's, you know what I'm saying? You have to manipulate it. Like I'm trying to take away the bias from like the positive and negative, because it's like how I was saying earlier, how you can end up doing that to yourself. So, oh, you end up lighting up the space that you're in, aka gaslighting and shit like that, but you're using it for something based upon some type of creative merit. You're trying to chase that ability, that talent, so you can do that thing again. And that's the thing that's motivating you. You're not motivated by money. You ain't motivated by the external world. You're not motivated by a monetary gain and stuff like that. You're more motivated about the experiences and the knowledge and the information you can gain from whatever vision that sparked you to do that thing in the first place. And that's why you're able to go the distance in your car, got all that goddamn mileage and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to gaslighting and identifying that, when it comes to the external world and stuff like that, that psychological manipulation, also to yourself too, you can end up doing that to yourself or others and stuff like that. So it's them utilizing mind game for self-serving purposes. If you do it to yourself, you end up getting lost into a certain ego, aka a certain ego of how you want to oversee things. You know what I'm saying? Like ego like a bird, how you want to oversee things. But that's just your subjective point of view. That's just your ego. That's just your ego and stuff like that. Your esoteric ego and stuff like that. That's how you soar the skies in your world, in your atmosphere and stuff like that. But not everyone's gonna soar the skies and take flight like that. You know what I'm saying? Not everyone is on the same plane of existence that you on and shit like that. Not everyone's on the same stream of consciousness that you on, right? So when you be doing that to yourself and stuff like that, you have to make sure it's that lack of like a huge bias and stuff like that. Like you're doing it for self, like, you know what I'm saying? You're not doing it for self-serving purposes and stuff like that. Because motherfuckers be gaslighting themselves to the point to where they convince themselves, oh, I gotta get this because it's gonna make me feel good because of this, then the third. But when they don't know how to live life in moderation, they end up doing a lot of degenerate extreme things just to maintain the space that they in, and they end up looking back like, oh damn, I did a lot of fucked up things, or I did a lot of things to fuck other people over just so I can maintain this type of mentality that I'm in. But this mentality that I'm in is real degenerate, or the space that I'm trying to cultivate for myself is actually not expanding anything. It's not expanding my comprehension. It's not expanding my awareness or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? I just did it for self-serving type of purposes so I can get geeked up by something that was made from the flesh and external to a technology that's already got created, instead of creating my own way of how to go about it. You know what I'm saying? And then the external way of looking at it is like when y'all talk about like gaslighting, the way y'all be utilizing it when someone is using some type of psychological manipulation to fuck somebody else for self-serving purposes and stuff like that. So this is how you can see the overall perspective of gaslighting of, oh, how a motherfucker can use that when it comes to accomplishing their dreams and motivations and their passions, and how a motherfucker can use it for real degenerate purposes so they can get one over on a motherfucker. AKA, look at that, like crab in a barrel type mentalities and stuff like that, to fuck with someone's confidence, to fuck with someone's self-esteem, to make someone fucking confused, to put someone under false pretenses and put other motherfuckers into a certain delusion and deceive them and con them and, you know what I'm saying, utilize to get what they got. And the thing they trying to get is the space at the end. The thing they trying to get is their talent. The thing they trying to get is their ability. You know what I'm saying? They're just being like energy vampires or some shit like that. So just in general, that's how you can identify gaslighting on a self-serving scale or a personal scale and stuff like that, and an external scale, and how to look at it from a more positive point of view. And you can utilize that to actually, you know what I'm saying, gaslight yourself to end up having some type of passion, motivation, but also how it can lead to the negative aspects or the manipulation tactics, or internalizing things too much, or taking things too personally and stuff like that, and being hard on yourself, or when other motherfuckers be throwing that esoteric dirt on you, on your lawn and stuff like that, and then expect you to just take that shit based upon what they're trying to take from you, from them acting like energy vampires, so they can take the fruit that you bear from your actual ability of something that you're able to actually organically do, and they have to make up some type of tactic or use some type of external tool and technology, aka something that's synthetic, because they're trying to make up for the lack thereof of what they're able to do because they can't deal with their own shit for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like they lack self-esteem, they lack creative abilities, they lack confidence and stuff like that. So they have to make up some type of program or make up some type of illusion or something like that. You know what I'm saying? They have to make up some type of illusion or make up some type of game that only they can win in for self-serving purposes because they're trying to get game from your ass based upon the space that you in instead of doing it naturally and organically.